late in the year 129 AC. Mindful of the promises he had made to the Maiden of the Vale, Jeyne Arryn, Jace ordered Prince Joffrey to fly to Goldtown with Tyraxis. Monkin suggested that Jace desired to keep his brother far from the fighting. This did not sit well with Joffrey, who was determined to prove himself in battle. Only when told that he was being sent to defend the Vale against King Aegon's dragons, did Joffrey grudgingly consent to going. Rhaena, the 13-year-old daughter of Prince Daemon by Lady Velaryon, was chosen to accompany him. Known to history as Rhaena of Pentos for the city of her birth, she was no dragon rider, her hatchling having died some years before, but she brought 3 dragon eggs with her to the Vale, where she prayed nightly for their hatching. Lady Rhaena's twin, Baela, remained on Dragonstone. Long betrothed to Prince Jacaerys, she refused to leave him, insisting that she would fight beside him on her own dragon, though Moondancer was too small to bear her weight. Though Baela also announced her intent to marry Jacaerys at once, no wedding was ever held. Monkin says the prince did not wish to wed until the war was over, whilst the Full Mushroom claims Jacaerys was already married to Sarah Snow, the mysterious bastard girl from Winterfell. The Prince of Dragonstone also had a care for the safety of his half-brothers, Aegon the Younger and Viserys. Their father, Prince Daemon, had made many friends in the free city of Pentos during his visits there, so Jacaerys reached across the narrow sea to the prince of that city, who agreed to foster the 2 boys until Rhaenyra had secured the Iron Throne. In the waning days of 129 AC, the young princes boarded the cog Gay Abaddon, Aegon with his hatchling Stormcloud, Viserys clutching his dragon egg, to set sail for Essos. The Sea Snake sent 7 of his warships with them as escort to see they reached Pentos safely. Something that was always going to play a key role in the Civil War was the cursed seat of Harrenhal, due to its strategically important location on the shores of the God's Eye in the Riverlands. Whoever controlled the ruin controlled the most direct path to King's Landing, with any forces coming from the Westerlands, North or Riverlands having to pass it. Thus, it was the first target for Prince Daemon Targaryen when he made his first tactical move of the war. Though large parts of Harren's great folly were in ruins, the castle's towering curtain walls still made it a formidable stronghold as any in the Riverlands. But Aegon the Conqueror had proven his vulnerability from the sky, with his lord, Larys Strong, away in King's Landing supporting King Aegon II and the Greens. The castle was left lightly garrisoned. Having no wish to suffer the fate of Black Harren, its elderly Castellan, Sir Simon Strong, uncle to the late Lord Lionel, great-uncle to Lord Larys, was quick to strike his banners when Caraxes landed atop the King's Spire Tower. In addition to the castle, Prince Daemon, at a stroke, had captured the non-inconsiderable wealth of House Strong and a dozen valuable hostages, amongst them Sir Simon and his grandsons. The castle's small folk became his captive as well, among them a wet nurse named Alys Rivers. Who was this woman? A serving wench who dabbed in potions and spells, says Maester Monkin. A woods witch, claims Septon Eustace. A malign enchantress who bathed in the blood of virgins to preserve her youth, the Full Mushroom would have us believe. Her name, Rivers, suggests a bastard birth, but we know little of her father, and even less of her mother. Monkin and Eustace tell us she was sired by Lord Lionel Strong in his youth, making him a natural half-sister to his sons, Harwin and Larys. But Mushroom insists that she was much older, that she was in fact the wet nurse for both boys, and perhaps even to their father a generation earlier. Though her own children had all been born stillborn, the milk that flowed so abundantly from the breast of Alys Rivers had nourished countless babes born of other women at Harrenhal. Was she in truth a witch who lay with demons, bringing forth dead children as payment for the knowledge they gave her? Was she a simple slattern, as Eustace believes, a wanton who used her potions and poisons to bind men to her, body and soul? Alys Rivers was at least in her late 30s, nearer 40 years of age during the Dance of the Dragons. That much is known. The Full Mushroom makes her even older than that, but all agree she looked younger than her years. But whether this was simply happenstance or achieved through practices of dark arts, many continue to dispute to this day. Whatever her powers, it would seem Daemon Targaryen was immune to them, but little is heard of the supposed sorceress while the prince held Harrenhal. The sudden, bloodless fall of Black Harren's seat was counted a great victory for Queen Rhaenyra and her Blacks. It served as a sharp reminder of the martial prowess of Prince Daemon and the power of his dragon Caraxes, the Bloodworm, and he gave his queen a stronghold in the heart of Westeros, to which her supporters up and down the kingdom could rally to, and Rhaenyra had many such in the lands that watered the River Trident. When Prince Daemon sent forth his call to arms, they rose up all along the rivers, knights and men-at-arms and humble peasants, who yet remembered the realm's delight, so beloved of her father, and the way she smiled and charmed them as she made her royal progress through the riverlands in her youth. Hundreds, then thousands, buckled on their sword belts and donned their mail, or grabbed a pitchfork or a hoe or a crude wooden shield, and began to make their way to Harrenhal to fight for Viserys' little girl. The lords of the Trident, having more to lose, were not so quick to move, but soon enough they too began to throw their lot in with the Queen. In the Riverlands, raiders out of Raventree Hall of House Blackwood crossed into the lands of House Bracken, burning crops, driving off sheep and cattle, sacking villages, and despoiling every set they came on, as the Blackwoods were one of the last houses south of the Neck who still followed the old gods. When the Brackens managed to weather these attacks, they were able to gather a strong force to strike back, but Lord Samwell Blackwood surprised them on the march, taking them unawares as they camped beneath a riverside mill. In the fight that followed, the mill was put to the torch, and the men fought and died for hours, bathed in the red light of the flames. Sir Amos Bracken, leading the host from Stonehenge, cut down and slew Lord Blackwood in a single combat, only to perish himself when a weirwood arrow found the eye slit of his helm and drove deep into his skull. Supposedly, that shaft was loosed by Lord Samwell's 16-year-old sister, Alys, who would later be known in the history books as Black Ally, but whether this fact or mere family legend cannot truly be known. Many other grievous losses were suffered by both sides in what became known as the Battle of the Burning Mill, the first true ground battle or the Dance of the Dragons. The two houses had been bitter rivals for centuries. Thus, when House Bracken declared for Aegon, it was natural House Blackwood would do so for Rhaenyra, using the pretext of civil war to fight each other once more. The Brackens finally broke and fled back unto their own lands under the command of Sir Amos's bastard half-brother, Sir Rivers. It was only to find that Stonehenge had been taken in their absence. Led by Prince Daemon upon Caraxes, a strong host made up of Darries, Roots, Pipers and Freys had captured the castle by storm, in the absence of so much of House Bracken's strength. We don't know if the Blackwoods' attack was coordinated in order to lure the strength of House Bracken away from their castle, but needless to say, Prince Daemon used this distraction well. Lord Humphrey Bracken and his remaining children had been made captive, along with his third wife and baseborn paramour. Rather than see them come to harm, Sir Rhaelon yielded. With House Bracken thus broken and defeated, the last of King Aegon's supporters in the Riverlands lost heart and laid down their own swords as well, and thus Prince Daemon now controlled the vital seat of Harrenhal and the whole of the Riverlands itself, in the name of his wife, Queen Rhaenyra.